This is an annual study that we do. Of course, this year it was in the context of the ongoing, I would now call it interesting times, because the crisis perhaps is over, but pandemic has left a permanent mark on the way people work. Now, if I look at what is happening globally, and then further deep delve into what is happening in India, three or four very interesting things which are also intuitive in a way came out. First of all, the year 2020 has been the most stressful year ever for the working population, right? And I say working population, but it is actually stressful for everybody. The stress has been very, very prolonged because the way we knew normal norms of living life, let alone professional life, have all gone, out of the window, so to say. What has happened is a large chunk of people have reported that their stress has increased. Not only that, specifically, if we look at in India, more than about 58% people are saying that their productivity actually has increased. And I think that's very dichotomous. We used to say that people perform well under stress, but this is some kind of a very, very different acceleration of productivity. A large possibility of this productivity enhancement is that focus has increased and multitasking perhaps in some sorts has reduced. Very significantly in India, a lot of people are spending much less time or almost zero time in commuting, right? So that has a very solid bearing. The productivity enhancement specifically in larger organizations, when we talk about organizations 30,000 or more employees, has even higher significant improvement. So 77% of the people are saying that they are more productive. Not only this, the millennials, people in the age group of 22 to 25 are reporting a much higher productivity. And remember, in the pre-pandemic era, a lot of focus on engaging the millennials and increasing their productivity. So I think that is very interesting. What is interesting yet ironical to my mind, Indians who are known to be overworked have reported 65% of the people actually have said they have started working either 10 or more hours per week, in addition to their normal work, which is again putting a lot of stress to that. The positive aspects are that 38% people say that they have been able to spend much more time entertainment, which again, we Indians were very guilty of not indulging in enough. 1% people have said that they now have more time to spend with their family. So those, I think, are the positive aspects. I'm one of to travel almost 15 days in a month, but now I'm spending so much of time in home that now we are reaching that peak when my family is saying, well, yeah, some time off, right? Sorry, that is one part. Now the question is why people are feeling that way. So 84% are saying that they have much higher anxiety about the work. There is this concept of FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So we gotta be what we need to do. So that is there. Parallel to this, the positive aspect is that 78% people in India much more confident and joyful about working from home. And this data point, to my mind, will have a permanent impact on the way we deliver work in this country and across the globe. And lastly, technology adoption has significantly increased. In fact, 86% of the respondents are now saying that they have become much more reliant on technology, not just for their professional needs, but also for their personal needs. And in terms of the impact, the adjectives that they use, they say that they feel safe, secure, and empowered when they are using more of technology to get their work done and also lead their lives. Now, we'll delve more into it, but that's a very high-level summary of some of the interesting findings specifically from India. Happy to answer any further questions on this. In terms of the mental wellness of Indians, there are three very interesting things that are coming out. First of all, this pandemic has created an environment where Indians are now much more forthcoming about their mental health issues. They are more accepting and they are seeking out for help. 90% of the people said that they see their organizations using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and new age technologies to improve their mental well being. At an overall level, 80% respondents have pointed that organizations are now doing much more on the mental wellness side. Now, while 80% is a great number, we must remember that 1 in 5 is still not doing anything, and organizations have to do a lot around that. What was interesting and in line with our traditional paradigm around mental wellness is that 90% of the respondents, in fact, 92% to be precise, are more comfortable talking to a bot rather than a human being to get counseling around mental well-being issues. Now, obviously, that happens because bots and technology-driven solutions tend to provide a very non-judgmental, a very safe and secure and utterly confidential platform for people to, vent out their mental challenges, so to say. And this is interesting because we are seeing a trend where Indians across the globe are much more open and forthcoming to look at a bot for help rather than human beings. Japan, a country known for its technology evolution as well as technology adoption, is lagging way behind. 26% people in Japan say that they will be happy to receive counseling from a bot versus 92% in India. That is a significant leap. And that clearly is a big message to the corporate world out there. A, it's time for us to do much more openly about mental well-being. B, must depend more on technology solutions rather than human counselors or traditional ways, the way we've handled mental well-being challenges in India. So while they are not enough when it comes to mental well-being, but they are significantly higher than what it used to be. First of all, I think the external environment has brought everybody on the same page, and suddenly from a society's perspective, it has become okay to talk openly about mental challenges and mental well-being issues. Second, suddenly we see technology proactively helping people to get help and also feel much more comfortable about it. Now, some of the organizations that had better technology could very quickly leap forward and create solutions around mental well-being of people. Oracle HCM, for example, the moment we realized that this is the pandemic and the situation out there has changed, we were able to upgrade our systems to bring specific functionality in the product that would address mental well-being challenges. So just to give you an example, health and safety has always been very, very critical for a lot of organizations, specifically if you look at sectors like ITES. Now, their safety protocols were around managing people while commuting. Remember all those cabs that people used to take and go to work? And the other one was to take care of them on the floor. Every office had a medical room, counselors, and so on and so forth. Now, suddenly your entire working population is dispersed all over the country, and you have to now manage not only their physical well-being, but their mental well-being in a very, spread out way. So at Oracle, we developed a very quick solution that our organizations that use our solution were able to deploy just in a matter of days. Now, if you look at in the older time, doing something like that would mean months of development effort and millions of dollars being spent on that kind of way. Now, that suddenly gave a very feasible solution in the hands of the employees, and they saw organizations and all their peers are talking about it openly. So that resulted in two things. One, became more confident and comfortable talking about it. B, had help at hand. Clearly, there are three things that HR has traditionally struggled with. First of all is, do they really know what is happening in terms of the insights and analytics? The traditional systems were siloed, they did not have a single view, and they did not have the capability to provide real time insights around people. Oracle HCM system, for example, today is capable of understanding the pulse of the organization in real time and throw out great insights to the employers, right? At Oracle, we ourselves use it. We have a very large workforce, over 150,000 employees across the globe. Now, one thing, and this is a very interesting insight, our system throughout this insight that majority of our people are working extended hours simply because their calendars are packed and they're always on Zoom calls. Not only that, we saw a sharp dip in people taking time off because I'm at home, I'm constantly working. So this is leading to burnout. In fact, way back in June or perhaps early July, our CEO sent out a message basis this insight that, hey, you all need to take time off. And we were literally forced to take time off, right? In a very positive manner. That's an example of how HR can understand what is happening. Second, we realized that there were certain contemporary topics of learning interest that came out. A lot of people were using our internal systems to learn things about certain things. Of course, I cannot disclose the subject of that. But once the HR team, the organization could understand, suddenly there is a higher, and to be honest, mental health being one of them, right? So we could then proactively start doing it. So when we know people are reaching out to the systems to learn about mental health, we then augmented it by giving human touch to it. We had things like counselor services available for those who wanted to do. And of course, as I said, we've already deployed our bots and our digital assistants to take care of that. Lastly, it is about infrastructure, right? We've been moving our tables and chairs to figure out. In fact, Oracle was one of the first companies that went out and said that, and I thought that was fascinating, that went out and saying that, hey, you know what? If you're missing office and if you want to go and get something from the office, for example, your office chair, for example, a couple of other things that you could go ahead and bring it at home. I mean, I went to office and got my office chair because I was so used to working in that kind of an environment. Now, it's not about giving me $500 or something to go and buy some furniture. It's a very different level of personalization where I could actually go to the office, pick up my chair, pick up a couple of other things that I was so used to and recreate that experience at home. So I think these 3-4 things are all somewhere ignited from the insights that the intelligence systems are able to provide, looking at the behavioral pattern of people. All these things depend on the context of the organization. And when it comes to handling mental well-being challenges, I think different organizations in India are at different levels of maturity. So therefore, they will have to look at their own maturity and adapt something. I think there are 5 steps to enhancing overall mental well-being in an organization. The first and foremost, I think, would be for organizations to start accepting and educating people. No matter what we say, till recently, Indian society and Indian corporate world was not very comfortable bringing this out in open. So the first step would be that organizations should accept it and start educating people. Once you start educating people, the second step would be to then leverage technology. As I said, leveraging humans is sometimes emotionally not feasible. Other times it is not a scalable model. I mean, if you employ 50,000 people like Oracle does, how many counselors will you get it, right? It's not practically possible. So therefore, leverage technology. So the second level, once you understand what is the situation around mental health being, what are the technology applications? The level 1 applications would be those that can give you insights. The level 2 applications would be that can prescribe and give solutions. So at the third level, Noor, I think organizations will need to start to gamify things. Now, remember, we all have seen gamification around physical health, how much you're running, for example, what's your mental physical fitness score. And I think now is the time to bring in gamification in mental well-being, and that again can be done very, very nicely with technology. Today Oracle HCM, for example, can integrate with the things like Fitbits, for example, to pick up your data. And not only it's your running data, but it could be your sleep pattern, for example, that has a direct bearing on your mental health. Similarly, there could be other things around which organizations can gamify mental health. And of course, when you're gamifying, you have to celebrate those successes, right? So you find a way of doing that. The fourth level would be where you start being proactive, because all these three things that I talked about here, the onus lies on the employee to go for it. But the fourth level would be being proactive. So when I said that Oracle, we will able to identify people who are working and kind of burning themselves out, we proactively reach out to them and said that you take a day off, right? Or take a week off. My manager, for example, is personally after my life, when are you taking time off, right? And I got to do that. So that's the fourth level of transformation, where organization is being very empathetic. And the last point I would tell you is that now is the time at the fifth level to bring family in. All these challenges earlier were left for the employee itself, but a large chunk of mental health issues are happening because of other people in the family also. There are organizations who are extending the benefits. So for example, in our case also, we do extend all kinds of mental health benefits to our immediate family members. A lot of organizations don't do that, and that would be my fifth message to them. You start looking at doing that. And therefore, again, as I said, technology will play a very important role. How do you give that access? How do you include the extended family would be very, very important. Do more about mental well-being. Even if it means letting go of something else, do it, right? That's the need of the hour, and that's something that is going to have a long-term implication on the overall success of the company. Second, and I repeat, invest in technology. Don't invest in technology that is solving your point problem, but invest in a platform like Oracle HCM platform, which is proactive in its approach and constantly keeps you ahead of the game. And I've already talked about the example of how we could augment the health and safety module. And the third piece would be look at scalability. Do not look at it as an optional thing. And I'll tell you very frankly, majority of the organization had, say, for example, marriage counseling or these kind of things, but all these were empaneled and very low on usage across the country. Now is the time to have a scalable and personalized kind of a thing there. In fact, in our research, we found out that the senior people, vice president and above people, are more inclined to use these bots because, they are in that zone, in that age, and that kind of mental pressure. And also sometimes when we are very senior and successful, we tend not to accept, our weaknesses in front of fellow human beings. So that's again very, very critical to do that. So all in all, I think technology is going to be the fundamental backbone of the way lives are lived and businesses are run in this country and across the globe. And if any organization is not ahead of the curve, it will lose its strategic advantage.